Question number 1. Would you suggest wet food options are better than kibble? Well, we have dogs and cats basically, and from a biological standpoint, the more moisture their diet consists of, the better. Why? Well, if you look at what they would eat, I suppose, in the wild, small mammals, small prey, those live animals would contain a lot of water because bodies, just like yours and mine, are made out of water. So if you can provide your dog or cat with some extra moisture, that's always beneficial. Now, I have been tinkering with this idea of telling people to maybe incorporate some fresh food or some wet food onto their pet's diet. So let's say you are a busy professional and let's say you feed your dog or cat kibble. That's literally absolutely fine, and I'm not going to have a go because people get really weird and they get really tribal whenever we talk about raw or wet or kibble or whatever. You want to feed kibble, you feed kibble, my friend. That is your prerogative. But if you can incorporate some wet food or some fresh food, as in some fresh meat, to their diet, that would be a lot better. Why? Well, cats especially, they can suffer for something called chronic dehydration. Plus, the kidneys of dogs and cats can suffer over time. I mean, kidney disease in dogs and cats as they get older is quite prevalent, and making sure the kidneys flush, they sieve properly, they separate all the toxins within the body is very, very useful. Plus, water is the spice of life, basically. So if you have a kibble-fed dog or a kibble-fed cat, making sure that dog or cat has access to extra moisture is absolutely wonderful. What constitutes as moisture? Well, you have bone broths. Go to your local independent pet shop and get some broth. It could be something frozen. There's a few manufacturers that make frozen bone broth, or you can get cartons. You can get things like patties, and those are 100% meat, and they contain a very high degree of moisture. Wet cat food and wet, good quality dog food is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I don't care what anyone says. If you get, I mean, we sell them. If you get some really good quality dog food and in a can, it's incredible. It is incredible, actually. Does it contain some preservatives? Yes, it contains some preservatives, but the quality, the smell, everything about those cans is incredible. Is it as good as raw? No, nothing is as good as raw, considering, or if we look at some of the top manufacturers and how that food is processed. But let's think from someone who kibble feeds their dog or cat. Adding some moisture, some wet food, some fresh food, aka meat, not vegetables, to their diet is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, and I would highly recommend it. By the way, let me know where you are watching from. We have a worldwide audience, and it's always incredible to hear where you guys are watching from. And hi from England. 3,000-year-old bones of dead dogs fed a plant-based diet is not a very good way of saying it's healthy. The dogs obviously somehow died, and there is nowhere that states the age or health of those dogs. 2. While wolves live a shorter lifespan due to survival reasons, not because of high protein diets. In fact, they live 8 to 13 years in the wild. What about captive wolves that are fed a carnivorous diet and live 14 years? Longer than most dog breeds. If a wolf doesn't have to face disease, injuries related to fighting or hunting, parasites, weather, loneliness, etc., they could easily live the 14 to 16 year like captive wolves do. 3. India is not primarily a vegetarian country. It's a myth. I agree. They do have a lot of vegetarian meals, but they eat a lot of chicken and goat. A lot of families will even own and raise chickens and goats, etc. Calves are often targeted by hungry street dogs too. Just because their dogs eat pretty much everything and live long doesn't mean that they are actually healthier and their nutrition is complete. A lot of these dogs have diseases related to malnutrition, and a lot of dogs do die of diseases related to having a low immune system caused by more malnutrition. This is by Kura Reaper. Thank you so much. Kura Reaper is a vegan viewer. He's an OG. Hello. And he is right. So, and this is a bit of a takedown or an answer to Ariel Griffiths, the vegan vet, who came on the pod and expressed her views on vegan dog food. The biggest takeaway so far from vegan dog and cat food is that the people behind them aren't involved in nutrition. They do not understand nutrition from an expert view, and they will promote vegan pet food because it's their creed, is what they want to promote, because they are vegan themselves and because they just don't like meat from meat consumption from any angle whatsoever. And that's it. Whenever I have spoken to vegan vets, vegan promoters of vegan pet food, I get down to the nitty-gritty and I ask certain questions that I think are pretty valid. Number one is, how do you feed your dog a vegan diet? Do you chop up carrots and parsnips and garlic and aubergine? Do I chop it up and give it to the dog, or how do I do that? And they say that no, you should feed your dog a kibble-based vegan complete and balanced pet food. And I have then gone on to look at those recipes. And I haven't just looked at one, I've looked at several. And the ingredients are absolutely shocking. They are just like Snickers bars, but in a vegan form. It beggars belief how those are some options to pet parents. And even the viewer, Kura Reaper, he's a vegan himself, and he doesn't feed, I believe, his dog or cat a vegan diet. He feeds his dog or cat appropriately. The biggest takeaway, I suppose, from vegan dog and cat food is that nowadays there are so many dogs suffering from allergies, from all these things. And a lot of people are going on to vegan pet food because they think it's going to help their dog or cat. And it does, but it could also help them get a much better food which contains meat, and that would be a lot better for the dog or cat. And so a lot of people have this belief that their dog is allergic to chicken, the dog is allergic to whatever, and then the first step is to feed their dog a plant-based diet, when that's actually, in my opinion, one of the worst things you can do. So should you feed your dog or cat a vegan diet? No, you should not. You should inform yourself, and you should feed your dog or cat appropriately, and it isn't something that you should take lightly. So yeah. I'm not sure this advice is applicable to all dogs. I have had 2 dogs, neither of which could digest chicken. It would go straight through and cause liquid diarrhea. I now have my 3rd dog, who is 5 months, and I'm really nervous about trying her on chicken. I do not know if the breed of dog is relevant. And this is precisely what I was talking about. So we have a dog with a suspected chicken intolerance, because chicken allergies tend to be a bit harder to come by. And by the way, if you struggle with nutrition, I highly recommend you watch some of our free seminars and all the other videos we have on this channel about nutrition. And if you are really struggling, you can book a consultation on thepetquarter.co.uk/consultation, and me or one of my team members will help you out. But if your dog has a suspected chicken intolerance, why are we trying the dog on chicken again? It's an oxymoron. It's an absolute oxymoron. So the best thing for you to do is try a left field option first in terms of another meat source. So goat, reindeer, mackerel, carp, sardine, trout. There are many meats that aren't conventional that we can give our dog. I don't know, crocodile, kangaroo, whatever, wherever you are in the world. I am sure you can get something that's out there, that's not common. Because if your dog is allergic to chicken, trying them again on chicken is stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Breed has nothing to do with intolerances. Your dog or cat is intolerant to a protein or proteins. And by the way, you should get a blood allergy test from your vet if you can. They are costly. They're about $1,000 or £1,000, but they are really worth it. Don't get a hair sample because they don't work. And again, if you suspect your dog has a chicken allergy, don't feed your dog chicken. Feed them something else, but don't feed them something conventional like beef or pork or lamb, for example. Try another option. I'm not really understand. I'm really nervous about trying it on chicken. Don't try chicken. What is the fixation with chicken? And then find a food that's high in meat content, in a single protein food with a meat source that's rare and low in carbohydrates, low glycemic carbohydrates. And that is standard advice, and that's a lot better than any prescription diets, any veterinary prescription diets, any vegan foods, any foods whatsoever. And I do not understand why some people pinpoint to chicken allergies in dogs and then they want to give the dog more chicken and they feed the dog more chicken. And by the way, another thing I notice is that sometimes there are thresholds here, and 4% chicken or 1% chicken or 10% chicken, those are different ratios. They are different percentages, obviously. It's an oxymoron, what I'm saying. But if your dog can cope with 2% chicken, maybe any treats that use chicken as a binder are okay. But a 10% chicken kibble won't be good. And this is to say that the quality of the food you feed your dog really does matter. Because if you feed your dog one of these 4% meat and animal derivatives, of which 4% is chicken, then that chicken is going to be pulverized and it's going to be absolutely horrible for your dog. So, if you give the beauty of single protein foods and of doing what we tell you guys to do is that there is full traceability. I give the dog a leg of lamb. The dog has an adverse reaction to the leg of lamb. I can pinpoint that the lamb is the culprit there. What I'm not going to do is give my dog something vague like animal fat in veterinary prescription diets and then cry that my dog doesn't do well on this diet and I am all lost, and then I have to go back to the vet 15 times and nothing gets sorted. And that is just a waste of time and money and resources and everything. So educate yourself on nutrition. Go back and watch all our videos on nutrition if you require a consultation. thepetquarter.co.uk/consultation. On bunny rabbits. So I noticed a few weeks ago a baby bunny running around my backyard. He's not a baby, but he's pretty close. He is alone. What's the chances he was abandoned or got lost and is now on its own? I've never seen another bunny or rabbit, just that one. He's so small, his ears are still tiny and round. That's adorable, by the way. I'm just curious if it's something I should let be, or perhaps try to help take care of the little guy. I live in New York. Hello to my folks in New York. In the middle of a town, no woods or anything around me, but lots of cats and dogs and other predatory animals running around, including some big birds. He's definitely a wild bunny though, so I've let him be wild. I just don't if I should relocate him to a more rabbit-like environment rather than living under a shack and fence. Whoa, wow, what a specific thing to say about a bunny rabbit that you have found under a shack and fence in New York State in the middle of a town. It's really hard to say, actually. What should you do? I'm not sure. I am not sure. Maybe by the time you've watched this, the rabbit has been eaten by another animal. It is always my belief to say that, yes, rabbits and other wild animals, I am a huge animal person, but I understand that being a wild animal is brutal and animals get eaten and taken out all the time. You have deer crossing roads and getting hit by cars, and you have rabbits getting hit by cars, and cats and dogs being hit by cars. And anytime you get subject to the wild, to the wilderness, as a small dog or as a living animal, you are exposed. If lions are vulnerable and exposed, everyone is exposed. So that's my take, basically. Bunny rabbits. I made a video on bunny rabbits, and I want to hear what your feedback is. Actually, would you buy bunny rabbits from stores? Are you for or against? Because I do discuss on the video that rabbits are complex creatures. They have somewhat short lifespan. They are very fragile. We are transporting the animals. We are breeding the animals for commercial reasons. We are putting them in busy shop environments with flickering lights, with noise, with alien everything. Sometimes they might get ill, and no member of staff will be available to help the rabbit. And so I do not think we should sell live animals, but at the same time, big box retailers are going to sell what people want to buy, and rabbits and other live animals are very desirable. And if the welfare of all the animals was spot on, then I wouldn't be against it. But because a lot of rabbits are bought by the little ones in the family, and they just lobby for a gerbil or a rabbit or a fish or whatever, they end up being somewhat neglected because the parents don't want to buy the live animal in the first place, and it's almost an afterthought. So sit on the decision for a while, educate your little one when it comes to dogs and cats and live animals, and let's see how it goes. I wanted to do a segment on the mergers and acquisitions of dog foods and cat foods, and this is very, very relevant. This is really, really interesting. There seems to be a lot of consolidation of many pet foods, and this is the problem with this whole thing. Let's say we have a big conglomerate, and that conglomerate starts eating up and swallowing different brands. The purpose of that conglomerate is to make money for their shareholders, and 9 times out of 10, that conglomerate will try to streamline things, maybe cut corners, maybe dilute recipes, maybe tinker with some of the things from those recipes they acquire, and that makes the dog food or the cat food worse. And there are so many cases where one brand buys another one, and that other brand starts getting diluted, the recipe changes, and certain customers get bogged down with that brand, and it's a bit of a show basically. But the pet food industry is so big and it's so lucrative that so many people want a piece of it. And so this is just to highlight, I suppose, how many deals are being done. There were 41 pet food industry mergers and acquisitions in 2022. There were 27 in 2024. We have the Valgroup acquired the remaining 60% in Poach and Mutt, a UK pet food company. So Vafu are now huge. Mars, the chocolate company incorporated, expanded its veterinary portfolio through its acquisition of Synlab Vet in August, folding the company into its Mars Science and Diagnostics division. The addition of Synlab Vet will bolster Mars Pet Care's full-service global vet diagnostic platform, which includes laboratories, point of care solutions, imaging, and software. I mean, they want to basically control everything. They want to control everything. They want to control the food you get given by the vet. They want to control their catheters. Your dog or cat is given. They want to control the whole diagnostics. They want to control absolutely everything. General Mills enter the pet supplement category with its acquisition of Fera Pets Incorporated. Central Garden and Pets scooped TDBBS Limited from Briegel Partners in November. Omni-channel pet wellness platform Antelope purchased gently cooked pet food My Perfect Pet. We have Assisi Pet Care went on to acquire Burns Pet Nutrition, and the list goes on and on and on. ADM acquires In Vivo Sample, Linksys acquires Schaefer, Otero acquires Food Ingredient Solution, Carnivore Meat Companies acquires New Building, Mars Pet Care to acquire Nom Nom Fresh, delivered pet food, Ball Meat Pack sold to Sunoco, and on and on and on it goes. These companies are going to literally control everything. They are absolutely going to control everything, and there is little we can do basically. The best thing you can do is support, I suppose, your niche, your independent, your well ethics, your well-mannered, ethical pet shop and manufacturer if you find one, and stick with them and try not to succumb to all these corporates, because the food tends to take a second light, and it's not at the forefront of companies whenever they get acquired. It's all about profit and it's all about making money. And if you don't believe me, your Colgate Palmolive, your toothbrush, your toothpaste rather, They used to come in a lot bigger tubs. Your Doritos used to come in bigger bags, and now the bags are a lot smaller, and you get charged the same amount of money. And that is, yeah, it's called shrinkflation, but it's not good for the customer, and it's not good for anyone else apart from the companies themselves. So this huge of M&A activity. So keep monitoring those ingredient lists, and make sure you get a good deal. Make sure you are in tune with your dog food manufacturer, what they do and what they don't do. And please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.